players behind us.
Somebody behind us.
But yeah, that's the first guys that went row.
Hey, homie, you shoot marshmallows.
All right, the other guys are gonna come back though. So. Oh shit! What the fuck?
I shouldn't be immune anymore.
Hell yeah, I'm getting this fucking shit.
You thought you was.
Thought you was.
Go ahead, get it. I got NPC over here.
That's alright, I still killed one of them. Fuck them.
GG's, guys. GG's. Whoa, 516k crit. But what is up, Gorilla Nation? It is Relentless here, bringing you yet another Division 2 build video. But if you would be so kind, please show some love to that like button. Also, smash that sub button if you happen to be new to the channel. And don't forget to reach up there, trigger that bell, and turn on post notifications, so that way you never miss a live stream or a video that is uploaded. Also, if you want to further your support for the channel, you can hit that membership button, and you'll get direct access to tons of perks and benefits by being an official member of the Guerrilla Militia, as well as emotes for the live streams, custom sub badges, and tons of perks. So definitely go check that out if you want to further your support for the channel. But as you've seen in the clips that I played you before, this is a build I was actually working on before I had my little health debacle where, you know, I've been in the hospital, if you didn't know, for the last couple of weeks. I previously had surgery, then to make a long story short, became septic, had to go back into the hospital after a few days, ended up having to have emergency surgery again, and then I just recently got home from another week and a half stint for being in the hospital yesterday. So that is why the content's been a little bit delayed, and that is why I bring you this build, and it's still not min-max, and it's still a work in progress, but it's still a lot of fun, and as you can see, this weapon is definitely a beauty. So let's hop into the build itself. Starting out first, it's a M249B, 121.9k, 12% LMG damage, 10% damage to targets out of cover, 6% damage to armor. Killing an enemy with a critical hit grants 40% critical hit damage for 10 seconds. If you want to use a different type of LMG, I also like to go to the new Reliable. If you know anything as far as any of my LMG build videos from before Title Update 8, you also know that I like to run in the RPK. A lot of people sleep on this weapon. It is basically an AR LMG hybrid. It has the damage of an LMG, but the reload speed of an AR, and can reload really quickly. This one has 108.2k damage, 15% LMG damage, 10% damage to targets out of cover, and then 4% rate of fire. Of course, I would trade off that 4% rate of fire for some damage to armor. Of course, if you have the Bullet King, you go with the Bullet King. The Pestilence here, 101.1k. Infantry MG5, 97.9. The Negev, 86. I'm running a 3-piece Providence Defense and a 1-piece Petrov with one Sombra group, and then one Seska. And the 3 pieces of Providence Defense gives me 10% headshot damage, 10% critical hit chance, and then 15% critical hit damage. On this particular chest piece, 13.2% weapon damage, 5.4% critical hit chance, 10.9% skill haste with 5% critical hit chance. In an ideal, perfect world, of course, I would trade off that skill haste there and put additional crit hit damage. That is why I say this build is more or less unfinished and I work in progress, but I wanted to get out there to you because it is loads and loads of fun. And I'm using Intimidate. Now, the premise behind Intimidate, as it states, while you have bonus armor, It amplifies total weapon damage by 35% to enemies within 10 meters. And with all the rushers, the flankers, especially in PvE, it definitely comes in handy. And when you utilize the gunner, when applying an armor kit, you get that bonus proc of armor, which gets the party started. So you use the armor kit to get that bonus proc of armor, and then Intimidate kicks in, you get the 35% weapon damage. Now the second piece and another component, especially if no one in your group is running any kind of talent that gives you, their teammates, you being a teammate, any kind of bonus armor like Vanguard or the exotic chest piece, anything of that nature, then you go with Bloodsucker. Bloodsucker is killing an enemy, adds and refreshes a stack of 10% bonus armor for 10 seconds. Max stack is 10. So once you get that party popping off with your med kit, you got that 35%. You're mowing down NPCs, especially when you're critting for 516k, and then you get that consistency and that bonus armor proc, so that way you constantly have that 35% weapon damage. And of course, also after killing every target, if you're using that killer talent, that it gives you 40% more critical hit damage, and it's just completely insane. But now if you are running in a group or someone that's using one of those talents that gives you that bonus armor, then you can substitute Bloodsucker for the likes of Wicked and kind of run like a Bleed Hive or anything that causes status effect that can further your damage output. It's whatever your personal preference is. In this particular backpack, 13.2% weapon damage, 12.5% weapon handling, 11.7% skill haste, and then in the offensive mod slots, 10.5% critical hit damage. Also, once again, in a perfect world, I would trade out the skill haste here for critical hit chance. And then, of course, the weapon handling is not null and void because you are using LMGs, and that 12.5% weapon handling does come in handy, especially in conjunction with while being immobile or not moving for a second. By utilizing a gunner, you gain some weapon handling and stability all across the board with that, so it definitely becomes really, really stable, and you can definitely shoot like a laser. But if you're comfortable in controlling the recoil of LMGs, especially like the RPK or ones with high rate of fire, then of course you want to go crit chance and crit damage. Now, the third and final piece is the Providence Defense Mask. I've been having a terrible time of trying to find the right ones, but this one I was able to at least have 15% weapon damage applied onto it, 6% headshot damage that goes along with the one piece of the Providence, so a total of 16% headshot damage, and then 5.5% explosive resistance. And of course, instead of explosive resistance, crit damage. If you don't want to go the headshot damage route, then you go with crit chance and crit damage. Stack it across the board, so that way you can substitute the offensive mod in either the chest piece or the mask and go with more crit damage because you already have crit chance in place of more or less in your attributes, so that way you don't have to put critical hit chance mods in your offensive mod slots. Next is the Contractor's One Piece Petrov, which gives me 10% LMG damage. It has 12.6% weapon damage, 11% damage to armor, and then it has 5.8% critical hit chance as the other attribute on them. Now moving along with the one piece of the Seska, gives you 10% critical hit chance. Still trying to find the right pieces, but this one at least had 9.5% weapon damage. Already had crit hit chance on it, and then I was able to put 11.5% critical hit damage also on this piece as well to further damage output. So there's tons and tons of room for improvement, most definitely. Now the final piece of this build is of course the Grupo Sombra holster. 15% weapon damage, 12% critical hit damage, and then 17,920 health, which is health is really not that important, or I should say important at all in the way the state of the game is currently. So of course, instead of this, you could want anything else other than health. And again, if you had say crit hit chance here, at least the 5 or 6% value, then that would further increase your crit chance, and then allow you to put critical hit damage offensive mods instead of the critical hit chance mods in your chest piece, backpack, or your mask. Now the skills used, of course, also always is the Reviver Hive is more or less the go-to because I only have 660 armor, so you're relying more or less on getting the party started with that proc of the bonus armor by applying an armor kit, and then you more or less survive off your Bloodsucker stacks and it's just a constant stacking of Bloodsucker. And when you get 10% for every kill, and you can stack up to 10, then essentially just continuously mow down NPCs, and you have nothing to worry about. And of course, your secondary is whatever secondary skill that you prefer to go with. If you want some additional healing, you can go with Hive. You can go with even the Defender Drone. I've used that in certain situations. It all depends on who's in your group, who's running what, and then you kind of reflect off of their builds as well. Now, when it comes to my HD level, I've been more or less focusing on crit hit chance, and then of course hazard protection, and then skill repair for other builds, and then more or less reload speed as well, because I'm more or less an LMG player, and any reload speed whatsoever definitely comes in handy. So now let's go over the stats themselves, starting out with the new reliable. 59.7% critical hit chance, 94% critical hit damage. I'm missing out on at least 30 to 40% critical hit damage here, just from those missing attributes on certain pieces, those 3 that I showed you. That is why this build is still a work in progress. So if you have the right pieces out there, then you're going to be well over 130% critical hit damage. But then switching over to the M249B, we have the same 59.7% critical hit chance and 104% critical hit damage. 81% headshot damage, 17% damage to armor. Then there's the 5.2 second reload time. We got a 7.1% reload speed bonus. There's our accuracy, stability, swap speed. Our all weapon handling bonus is 79.1. And then going to our light machine guns, another 37. So almost 120% weapon damage total going to by way of our LMGs. And that is the rest as follow. But tweak it as you see fit and according to your playstyle. This is according to mine and how I prefer, and how more or less I've already told you how you can switch things out as far as steer away from Bloodsucker. If someone's in your group already running like the exotic chest piece or something that also promotes giving you yourself as a teammate bonus procs to armor, so that way you can put on a damage talent, so that way you can further extend your damage. And of course the missing critical hit damage and critical hit chance off these particular pieces, especially when it comes to these Providence pieces, just got to get better ones of those, and that will do tons and tons of damage. But as is, it's still a lot of fun, and definitely mows down the NPCs, and it's a lot of fun. That's why I usually play on heroic solo, and I can do a control point by myself pretty easy peasy. But if you're wondering what this camo is, it is called the Joyride. I forgot how I got it, but it is really sick on the 249B. I couldn't apply it to an RPK, but definitely the 249, it is pretty sweet. Once I figure out exactly how I got it, I will leave that in the comment section below. But appreciate you guys tuning in. Appreciate all the love and support. As soon as this gets min-maxed, I find better pieces, then this build will be updated. Also, I have 2 other builds that I was working on before I went to the hospital, and I'm going to work on them a little while longer before I bring those out to you, just so I'm a little closer to being min-maxed on them. So stay tuned for those. But be sure to like, subscribe, and share, and we'll see you guys fudging later.